Hello, my name is Gareth. I'm an IELTS teacher and IELTS examiner. In this course we're going to cover this book and I will show you all of the best ways to improve your IELTS reading score. So let's get started. Alright, so the first passage is called Cork. What do you do first? Don't read it. You don't have time and it's going to take a lot of time to read this. The first thing that you must do is go to the questions. We have true, false, not given, and we have a fill in the gap table. Now you should do the easy questions first. An important rule of IELTS, easy questions first. So these tables are usually easier than true, false, not given, so we'll start with the table. So what do you do next? Now you're going to find your scanning words, so that you can find where this table comes from, where in the passage. You're going to scan for that, and that you can see these two things are repeated here. So that tells you these are very important phrases that you will need to find. They're in the headings and they're repeated. What else can you scan for? There are a few other things that you can scan for. You can do it now or you can do it later. I think let's immediately go and try and find these. Alright, so it's up to you then. Scan through the passage and find those key phrases. A good idea is to notice that these are the last questions. Remember, you don't need to scan from the beginning. This is probably right at the end of the passage. So I would scan backwards. I would start here and scan upwards instead of starting here and scanning down. And turns out I'm right. It's not always like this, but in this case it is. There we have cork stopper. Immediately, one thing I want you to notice here is this kind of language. This is your linking language. This immediately gives me a structure of this passage. I know that I've got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 points which they are making. Find structure for the passages. Anyway, we're still scanning. We found cork stoppers. We're looking for aluminium screw caps. My guess is that it would be here, and yes, of course, there it is. All right. You can scan here a little bit just to see. It's a good idea. For example, I see bottle stoppers over there. It's worth noticing. I don't see anything about aluminium screw caps. So really, I think at this point, I think it's this paragraph and this paragraph. What do we do next? Now we're going to scan for more detailed words. So let's find that. Produce, be careful. Produce and use are our keywords there, but they can easily make synonyms or paraphrase for these. So it's quite possible you will not see them. They will use other words. The most important thing when you're scanning is to scan for words which they cannot have synonyms for or paraphrase. For example, aluminium. Aluminium is aluminium. You can't paraphrase it, and there is no synonym for it. So therefore, it's a very good scanning word. Anyway, quality products, maybe material. Again, they can paraphrase that easily. It's nice. They can paraphrase, but not many paraphrases, and the paraphrases aren't difficult to understand. So it's nice. And then I see we've got cork forests here twice. So that's a good one to scan for. Remember, you don't need to start with number 6. You can start 13 if you want. You can start anywhere you want. In fact, often they put difficult ones at the beginnings here to slow you down and confuse you. But let's look at number 6. Bottle contents. We know we're in this paragraph over here and we're scanning for bottle contents. And they have made this one quite difficult. Immediately we see bottle contents over there. But be careful with IELTS. You need to scan through the whole thing. Maybe it's a good idea to scan for bottle contents, produce and use. All of these at the same time. Remember, you don't only need to scan for one thing. So, can we find bottle contents, produce and use? Keep on scanning. And this is the trick that they have in this question. There is paraphrase for bottle contents again. Now, produce and use. Can you see the synonym for produce? They did not use produce, they used manufacture. And user is over there. So, we've got quite a good idea where our answers, which sentences our answers will come from. Affect the something of the bottle contents. Another important thing to notice here is that this gives you information. You are looking for a noun. What are you looking for here? After the verb to be, you can't put a noun there. There is the verb. Just some grammar, we can look at it later, but you're looking for an adjective here. Adjective after the verb to be, like I am hungry. So let's look for that noun. Do not affect the something of the bottle contents. There are concerns about the effect it may have on the contents of the bottle. We're not looking for this noun. Some students will choose the material. Do not affect the material of the bottle contents. No. We're choosing aluminium screw caps. Why? Why do they move towards aluminium screw caps? Because this substance over here, this chemical, can spoil, it means make it bad, the taste of the bottle contents. We choose aluminium screw caps because they do not spoil the taste of the bottle contents. So your answer there is going to be taste. This helped you a little bit. It was a difficult one. You actually needed to understand a lot about what they were saying over here. Then we're looking for two adjectives. Something is something to produce and something to use. Adjectives, we found manufacture and user. Where are the adjectives? There's our verb to be. Cheaper to manufacture, cheaper to produce, and more convenient to use or for the user. We only allowed one word, so we will not use that, just that. So these are your answers. Right, let's move on to the next half of this. We'll move to the next paragraph, I'm sure. Cork bottle stoppers. We're looking for quality products, material, forests, and easily. Immediately I see quality goods, quality products, that's fine. Something about material. Maybe a product is material, I don't know. Easily, without difficulty. So they paraphrased it a lot there. And Cork forests is there. Right. I would just start with this. I'll start with these two just to show you. You can start with any of them. Cork forest, aid and stop. Aid means help. Stop means stop. They might paraphrase those. Let's find these two verbs. Cork forests, that means aid, and that means stop. So they paraphrase those two verbs. Support, help, aid. What does they support? Biodiversity. What do they stop? Desertification. Easily, let's see what was easily. What was easily? Please notice this is an adverb, so you're looking for a verb or an adjective over here after the adverb. We know it's an adverb because it has that ly there. Verb or adjective. Without difficulty, there's our verb. Easily recycled. Recycled without difficulty means the same thing. Great. Usually this, let's move on to number 10. Usually this would help us. The tells us we're looking for a noun, but there is the noun. So what does that mean? What are we looking for here? That means we are looking for an adjective over there. A something material. We want an adjective to describe the material. There's high quality, there's without difficulty. So it's going to be somewhere between these two. Remember, IELTS does these table questions in order. Where's the adjective? There's the adjective there. You don't even need to know what it means. Just know a sustainable product, a something material. And finally, suit the something of quality products. This was another difficult one as well. Students want to choose that, but that does not mean anything. Suit the type of quality products does not mean anything. This means suit. This is a very difficult question. It's advanced English. What suits the products? The image suits the products. I can even change this. In keeping with means suits. It's the same meaning. So that's the answer that we wanted there. I understand you wanted to go for that. It's not a problem if you did. If you get 6 or 7 of these, it's great. So our answer there is image. Alright, so just to revise, what did you do? Scanning, find the paragraphs first. Try and see where in the passage they will be. This is the second one, so maybe start at the last paragraphs because these ones are at the end of the passage. Secondly, scan for these. Be careful, they will paraphrase them. Thirdly, look at the grammar. Do you need adjective? Do you need noun? Do you need verb? Finally, then also, you don't need to start with 6 or start with 9. You can start with these ones. Start with whichever one you can see, whichever one is easiest. And then find your answers. Read the sentences carefully. Think about the meaning. Think about the meaning of this. All right, great. Let's move on to true, false, not given. Okay, let's look at these true, false, not given. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is quickly look through them and see if there's anything that's easy to find. For example, that for me, it's easy to find. The numbers usually are easy to find. So let's quickly find that. We'll scan quickly. There's some numbers there, but I want 25. And there it is there. So that immediately gives us a reference point. That means question 3 is in this paragraph. 1 and 2 are somewhere here. Remember this, we already used this paragraph, so 3, 4, and 5 will be here. Let's find the other keywords. Cork, oak, thickest bark, any living tree. Probably that, maybe tree, maybe oak, but they're talking about the bark. The bark is the skin of a tree. What else? Scientists. Synthetic is pretty good. And cellular structure. You're looking for words that are different, that are quite unique. For example, developed, you're not going to scan for developed. They can use developed everywhere. So we've found 25 years. Individual, no. First and second harvest is quite interesting. Harvest is when they collect the thing that they're growing. Probably dry atmospheric conditions. Notice these, I'll talk about that later. So this is a difficult one, as I said before, but maybe by hand, maybe remove, when they're talking about removing the bark. So let's go and find all of these. I actually wanted to highlight thickest as well. So we know that 1 and 2 are up here somewhere. So we're looking for thick and we're looking for bark. Immediately we see it over there. Oak tree is also over there. Now, 90% of the time that means the answer is somewhere here, but they've tried to trick you. Be careful. Very often, as I said before, with the first one, they try and trick you. Bark is also there, and thickness is also there. So the target sentence is here or there. Anyway, we can look at it later. Let's see where the rest of it is. Scientists, synthetic, cellular structure. Scan, 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 and cellular structure is over there. I don't see anything about synthetic, but I do see something about scientists. They've used a synonym for scientists. Can you see it? it's that over there. That's the paraphrase synonym for scientists. So we've got 1 over here, 2 in that sentence, nothing there, 3 in that sentence. Let's find 4 and 5 if we can. Dry atmospheric conditions, stripped maybe. Atmosphere, something about atmosphere. You need to know what atmosphere is, and that's the paraphrase or the synonym for atmosphere. This is a very vocabulary question. You needed to know what that means. That means not dry. So that's an opposite keyword actually. And the final one, by hand. Can I see anything about by hand? Again, they've made this very difficult. By hand means without a machine. And that's our keyword there. But don't worry if you didn't find that. That's the sort of Band 8, Band 9 question. No machine means by hand. So it's okay if you didn't find that, and that we can at least get 3 out of 5 here. Right, the next thing that you're going to do, before you go and look for the answers, I want you to examine each question. This is how you must do true, false, not given. You must ask, what are they going to test? What will they change in this question? Will they change cork? No. Oak? No. This is the word that they are testing. This is the question. Is it the thickest or is it thicker? IELTS with true, false, not given, very often they use a EST or ER word or more and most to make a true, false, not given. So we need to know, is it the thickest of all of them in the world? Is it the thickest? So that's the word that they're testing. So I want you to put a circle around that. Okay, so that will be our target language. The language that they are testing, is it true, false, or not given? What is the target language in this one? I would think maybe this or this. Have they developed it or have they not developed it? Is it the same or is it different? Very often target language is adjectives. This is actually an adjective. So here this is also an adjective. So the target language for these two is, have they developed it or have not developed it? And is it the same or is it different? For the next one, I would say the target language is this. Was it 25 years or was it more or was it less? And this one, was it between the first and second, the second and third? For the fourth one, again, I would say they're going to be testing these this adjective over here. Sometimes they test these should, would, could, may, must, might. These are called modal verbs. So have a look at that and the adjective, the modal verb and the adjective. Very often, true, false, not given, they test these two things. And for the last one, they love to test this only. It's an adverb. And then by hand, they could change that. They're not going to change anything else here. It could be only that they change or by hand. Is the only way by machine, or is the only way by hand, or is the only way by some other way? All right, so take the time before you go and look at the answers to do your circles and think about what they're testing before you go and find the answers. Let's begin then. Is the cork oak the thickest of any living tree, the thickest of all the trees in the world? I don't see anything about thickest. It just says it's thick. And then over here, they say it's 20 centimeters thick. But they don't say anything about other trees. They say it's an extraordinary, amazing, but they don't say it is the thickest in the world. They say it's very thick, but not the thickest. So that one must be not given, because they're not saying anything about other trees. Right, let's look at number 2. Have they developed this synthetic cork with the same cellular structure as natural cork, or have they not developed, or have they developed one with different? We're over here, there's our word developed. The bark of the oak has a particular cellular structure with 40 million cells. This you don't really need for our purposes here. Technology has never succeeded in replicating. Notice again, this part of the sentence also you don't need. The bark of the cork oak has a particular structure that technology has never succeeded in replicating. So I don't see anything about same or different. Actually, this means same. So same and same is here, but this is the key word over here. Has never succeeded. Have developed, have not developed. So because these two are different, this must be false. Right, number 3. 25 years between first and second harvest. Let's see what they say. From the planting of a cork sapling to the first harvest. So from planting to first harvest, 25 years. And a gap of a decade, this is 10 years, I'll just change it. A gap of 10 years must separate harvests from an individual tree. So from planting to first harvest, 25 years. From first harvest to second harvest, 10 years. From third harvest to fourth harvest, 10 years. 10 years, 10 years, 10 years. What does this say? First and second? No. There is a gap of 10 years between the first and second harvest. It's 25 years from when they plant it to the first harvest. So that means this must be false. The cork bark should be stripped in dry conditions. If the bark is stripped when it's too cold or when the air is damp. So we're not looking at cold. If the bark is stripped when the air is damp, the tree will be damaged. Damaged is bad. We don't want that. So there's no should, but we're talking about the dry air or the damp air. So this I can just change to wet just to make sure you understand. If the bark is stripped when the air is wet, the tree will be damaged. That means it should not be stripped when the air is wet. It should be stripped when the air is dry. It should be stripped when the air is dry, which makes that true. Then this is the last one, the most difficult one. The only way is by hand. It would have been very difficult to find because this means by hand. There is no mechanical means of stripping the bark. That means we can only do it by hand because there is no machine to do it. So that means that this one should be true. All right, so just to revise, find them all first. Most important, find them all first. Then take some time to think about what they will test on each question and then go and find your answers. So I just wanted to show you what you needed to answer all of these. All of the stuff that I've blacked out, you didn't need that. You didn't need to read that. And if you read it, you're just wasting your time. So that shows you how important it is to find your keywords and scan very quickly, find the target sentence. My quick IELTS tip for the end of this video is don't just do a reading once. Many students I've seen, they do a reading, they check their answers, throw it away. Start a new reading, check their answers, throw it away. Keep the reading and do it again 2 weeks later. Do it again 2 months later. You learn more on the second time and the third time than on the first time. Great. Thank you very much. Good luck.